family. First time ever. Welcome, everybody, again, to Breakfast with Algernon. So excited for today's topic. Once again, the topic of today is the ingredients of success. So, with that being said, family, let's talk about it, right? So, I'm reading this book, right? And it's giving me a lot of value, right? It's giving me a lot of value when it comes to really how I view myself, how I carry myself, and it's truly taking a turn for how I'm going about my life, right? So in this book, they talk about the success type of personality, right? What it composed of and how to be able to attain it. So they break up the word success, right? They break up the word success into parts. Excuse me. So to give you guys an example, right? To give you guys a visual, right? For those that can't see, I'm writing out the word success, right? He writes that success, each letter in success represents a certain attribute, right? He talks about for the first S is right, is sense of direction, right? And I'm going to walk you guys through each and every single ingredient, right? So sense of direction is the first S of success, right? We're going to dive into each ingredient, right? So they say that, so in the book, he says that when it comes to having a sense of direction, he compares it to like a bicycle, right? When you're riding a bicycle, right? Everything's cool when you're moving forward, right? When you're on a bicycle, everything's good to go when you're moving. But what happens, guys? What happens when you're riding a bike and you stand still? What happens to your balance when you're on a bike and you stop moving forward? What happens, guys? Hopefully everyone on here has rode a bike before, but if not, that's completely okay. And I'll give you guys a little bit of an example, an idea of where I'm getting at. So when you're on a bicycle, right? When you're standing still, you get shaky, right? It's a lot harder to maintain equilibrium, maintain your balance when you're on a bicycle, right? Why is that? That's because when we have no personal goal that interest us, we tend to be unsure, right? Our motives are, we second guess ourselves. We're unsure about every step that we take in life. So when it comes to having a sense of direction, if you don't know what you're working towards, if you don't have that goal, right? We talked about earlier, right? Before our visualization, the importance of having a goal card. If you don't have that goal written out for yourself, then you don't really know exactly where you're going. And when you're unsure, you'll find yourself going around in circles, right? You'll find yourself repeating the same thing. That's why a lot of people end up feeling stuck. That's why people feel like they're not going anywhere, because they're not changing their approach. A lot of people will do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And that's the definition of insanity. Expecting something different to come out of the same action is insanity. So in order to get out of feeling shaky, right, not feeling balanced, you have to have something that's allowing you to move forward to. You have to have something that you're working towards, right? Understand that as humans, we are designed to solve problems, right? In the business of network marketing, and this call is not meant for this call is not just for people in network marketing, but in network marketing, we get paid to solve people's problems. We get paid to solve people's problems. The better you are at solving people's problems, the better you are at your skill, at your craft. When you master your craft, well, then there's nothing that can really stop you. So understand that for the first key to success, the first ingredient of success, having a sense of direction, you have to know where you're going, right? And if you want to lead others, you have to have that sense of direction, because other people are going to follow you because they feel as though you know where you're going and they want to be a part of that journey with you. That's the only way people will follow you in whatever business that you're in. People will only follow you when they feel like you can lead them there. So that's the first ingredient, right, to success. Now, the second ingredient, right, is understanding, right? Understanding. So I want you guys to understand that failure, right? Failure is typically due when it comes to human beings, right? Because we're in the business of working with people. We're in the business of people, right? So when it comes to working with people, we are in the business of, again, helping people solve their problems. But in order to solve problems, we have to have an understanding of what the problem is. You can't solve something if you don't know what the problem is, right? And they say that a lot of failure, when it comes to human relations, a lot of failure comes from misunderstanding, right? Understand, guys, that people will interpret the same situation or event differently, right? My partner would see a situation different than I do. My friends may see a situation different than I do, right? People, my mentor, my parents, your family, people are not going to see the things the same way you do. You have to understand that. You have to be willing to accept this reality. People are not always going to see things the way you do. So how do we solve their problems if they're not seeing the way we see it? That's your problem. You want people to see things the way you do, when instead you want to understand the way people, you want to understand how people see a certain circumstance. That's how you get out of a certain paradigm. You have to see things differently. In order to help somebody in order to solve someone else's problem, you have to view it the way that they're viewing it. That's the only way they're going to move forward. That's the only way they're going to trust you enough to doing something, to doing what you advise them to do, right? We're not in the business of controlling people. We don't want to control people, but in order to guide people, you have to see things the way that they're seeing it, right? We talk about love languages a lot, right? But in reality, that's just human relations. You have to understand their language, right? You could be speaking English, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that you guys will understand each other. So the biggest thing is being able to view how they're viewing it. And how do you establish that? Ask questions. Ask questions. Well, why do you feel like this obstacle is in your way? Why do you feel like when things aren't going right, that no one seems to understand you, right? Ask a lot of questions. And the more questions you ask, the deeper you can unravel the person's core problems, the better off you can understand what truly is going on. Okay, Sally has a difficulty being consistent with her morning routine. Why is that? Oh, okay. Well, Sally doesn't have the confidence that she believes Sally doesn't have the confidence. So therefore, she doesn't feel like she can be consistent, right? But we would never get to that solution until we've dissected the actual problem, right? Because when it comes to people, we tend to have a lot of layers, right? We have a lot of layers to our situations, and the more questions you ask, the more you can unravel it and get to the very core of the issue. So that's understanding, right? So the next key, right? The next ingredient is courage, right? Guys, understand that courage is what you need to really act upon a situation. You cannot expect to write goals down. You can't expect to write, I'm so happy and grateful. You can't expect to do all this stuff if you're not taking action. And in order to take action, it takes courage. You need to have courage that allows you to carry out the action. There can be no goal, there can be no accomplishments if you don't have the courage to do what you need to do each and every single day, right? And I understand that courage and faith are like cousins. They're like cousins, they're relatives, right? Because courage and faith, right? They go hand in hand, because faith is the courage to doing something regardless of the consequences. You know what the consequences are, but you still have the faith and courage to still go out and get it done, right? People in your business, right? People may jump back and forth in your business, right? Guess what? It's going to happen, but you still have the courage to push forward. You still have the courage to show up to calls, even though there's one or two people on the call. You still have the faith of knowing that your business is going to blow up, But it all starts with those little actions, and those little actions could be as small as just showing up. It could be one person on this call, and I'm going to still show up, family, because it only takes one person, right? It only takes impacting the life of one person to truly go out there and change the world. So I'm not going to fold on the people that do show up, because at the end of the day, right, it's not fair that I'm just going to say, you know what, guys, there's only one person on the call. Breakfast with Aldron, we canceled today. No, I'm going to show up for even the small few, because I know that you got to appreciate the little things in life in order to appreciate the bigger things. So that's courage, family, right? So the second C, right? The second C of success, right, is charity. You have to be willing to value other people, right? You got to be willing to value other people. And it says in the book that our feelings about ourselves tend to reflect our feelings about other people. So if you see a lot of people, typically, will treat other people like garbage, right? You'll see people treat other people crazy bad, right? But realistically, the way that you see other people treating other people treating people is realistically how they feel about themselves, right? You guys ever heard the saying, misery loves company? Drop a 111 in the chat. Have you ever heard the expression, misery loves company? Drop a 111 in the chat, family, because because it's true. Misery only wants to be surrounded by misery, right? That's why you see a lot of negative people, right? All they do is talk about negative stuff. All they want to do is talk about toxic you hear people share it on their social media pages. Ooh, I want that toxicity. I want that toxicity. Like that's just literally, they're just making an announcement about how negative they are. And they just want to attract more and more negative people. I don't need to be on any type of wave to fit in, right? I'm not about that, because I realize that if I focus on the negative, I'm attracting that. So when I say this to say, family, right? When it comes to charity, you want to make sure you give in to the people who think and move the same way you do, right? Because if you think about it this way, family, if you surround yourself around negative people, right, what are you going to end up becoming? If you surround yourself around negative people, what are you going to end up becoming? We got it in the chat. Negative. Exactly. If you surround yourself around negative people, then guess what? You're going to be the next person who's going to be negative, right? But if you surround yourself around people who think and move and believe the same way you do, well, guess what? That's only going to boost your faith, boost your sense of self-esteem, right? Which is what we're getting into in the next ingredient, right? But all in all, right, when it comes to charity, you got to make sure that you are developing a genuine appreciation for people, right? When it comes to this ingredient, guys, it's so important, because a lot of people, they just want to be business owners, right? A lot of people just want to run a business just to be able to tell people what to do. But when it comes to charity, you guys have to understand that the biggest key to success in any business is your appreciation for people, because people are the true value. Whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a nail tech, a construction worker, Uber driver, right? No matter what business you're in, people are your greatest asset. People are going to either drive your business up or tear your business down. So if you have somebody that's running an organization and doesn't appreciate people, well, it's no wonder why that business isn't going to grow. Let's think about places like McDonald's, right? Their turnover is absolutely incredible. Like, it's crazy. The turnover at fast food chains in general, I won't say, I'm not defaming, right? But it's just a simple fact, right? The turnover you see in fast food chains is insane, because people don't feel like they're being appreciated. But if you look at places like Chick-fil-A, right? I see the same people at Chick-fil-A all the time. That retention is insane, because they learned how to show appreciation to their staff, to their faculty, right? The more people feel appreciated, the more they're willing to stick around. The moment they don't feel like they're gaining value or they're not gaining some form of appreciation, they leave. So if you're running a business and people are leaving, you need to ask yourself, are you showing enough appreciation to your people, right? Take time to think of other people's feelings, because we are all children of God, right? We are all created by the Creator in order to create. So understand that everybody has value. Everybody has something to give, just as much as they have to gain, right? Give people the opportunity to showing their value, show what they're good for. And I can guarantee you your business will thrive, right? So the next letter, the next ingredient, right, is E, and that's esteem, right? We think of self-esteem, right? How you see yourself, you know, your thoughts of yourself, your opinions of yourself, right? So understand that self-esteem is going to be your driving force, right? That's the fuel that's going to continually drive you. If you don't have self-esteem, then it's almost like, if you think about it, steam, right? Think of a train. When the train runs out of steam, what happens? It stops. So you got to make sure you have that self-esteem, because that's going to be your driving force. But it talks about self-disteem, right? Self-disteem, the opposite of self-esteem, is the hardest obstacle to overcome, right? Because a lot of people, they fall victim to their own self, right? They become slaves to their own self, meaning that people will see themselves as pity. They'll fall into pity. They'll feel bad for themselves, and they'll give themselves excuses for why they can't get up and changing their circumstances. A lot of people fall victim to this. Almost 98% of people fall victim to this, guys. I'm sorry, 95% of people fall victim to this, because they give up on themselves. They say their goal is too far. They don't have the energy to fight for that desire anymore, right? So I say this to say that it's important that we stop seeing ourselves as defeated or as an object of pity, right? It says, appreciate others, for they are also creations of God, whom have value to bring. I'm sorry, that went back into the previous ingredient, right? But when it comes to self-esteem, you have to have that why that's strong enough that's going to make you keep pushing. And I always tell people in my business, I always tell my leaders that when it comes to having a goal, you have to have a goal that's selfless, right? We always talk about expectations in my business. The first expectation when I tell people that join my business is, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about the bigger picture. Have a desire, have that driving force that goes beyond just you. When you have somebody or something that you're fighting for that's bigger than you tend to want to keep pushing forward that much more, because it's no longer about you anymore. It's about the bigger picture. So having that strong self-esteem, having that strong why is going to generate a stronger self-esteem. And it's going to create a driving force that even when things get difficult, you're still going to want to push forward, right? So that's esteem, right? The second to last S, right? The second to last S is self-confidence. This is huge. This is huge, guys. This is like one of my favorite ingredients, right? It says self-confidence is built upon the experience of success, meaning that those small successes, right? Those small successes that you have, those small wins, right? For my traders out there, when you win that you win that trade, no, it may not be $1 million, right? But when you think about it, when it comes to compounding, right? Those small wins build up into the bigger results. So you have to learn to appreciate those little wins, because when you do it consistently over a period of time, the little wins become the bigger gains. Right? And a lot of people, when it comes to self-confidence, right, the key to building it is focusing less on the failures and focusing more on the success. We are trial and error based creatures, right? We live off of trial and error. But when we make those successes, when we do succeed, it says that we need to focus on the success and focus on duplicating that instead of focusing on the failures. Because a lot of people will focus just on the failures and not see the success and end up holding themselves back from where they want to go. So it's important to understand, right, that even though we learn from trial and error, when we do succeed, that's where our focus and attention needs to be on, because we want to duplicate that feeling. When you focus on your failures, all you're doing is, what do we say about creating it in your mind? If you can create it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. When you create and focus on failure, that's what you're generating and reproducing into your life, right? So understand, family, that this is key, right? You destroy your self-confidence by remembering failure. I'm gonna say it again for you, and I hope you guys are writing this down. You destroy your self-confidence by remembering failure. Practice improves skill and success, not because of the repetition, but because practice provides experience with success, even if failures outweigh it. That's a gem, guys. And I like this quote, guys. I like this quote. I'm gonna give it to you, and then we're gonna get up to the last ingredient. A scientist, and for those that don't know, I have a background in biology, so this is 100% true. A scientist must be prepared to fail 99 out of 100 times. A scientist must be prepared to fail 99 out of 100 times. It's a true fact, guys. You fail more than you succeed. Don't let all the social media, the clout, all that stuff, guys. No one's willing to ask the person what did they fail at to get to where they're at. But everyone wants to look at the success. Success doesn't build overnight, it builds over time. So I want to get on to the last ingredient, family. Appreciate y'all tapping in, right? And so the last ingredient, right? Guys, if you guys are getting some value out of this call, okay? You guys grab some fire emojis. You guys got some fire emojis in the chat. You guys are getting some value out of this. Amazing, 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 guys. Appreciate you guys. Awesome. So the last ingredient, right, is self-acceptance. Self-acceptance. So it says that self-acceptance is the derivative of success and happiness. People struggle with this by being something that they're not. Changing self-image only involves changing how you see yourself. You can't change who you are, but you can realize it, right? We are all gods and goddesses in our own way. That's a fact. But the moment you realize it is when you can truly embody it and actually carry out the purpose that you were built for. So a lot of people don't realize their worth. A lot of people don't realize their value. Therefore, your inability to see your true self disables you from being able to unlock your true potential. You cannot be the best version of yourself if you don't see yourself that way. So when it comes down to it, you have to understand what you're capable of. There is so much greatness inside of you. I don't think you guys realize you are gods and goddesses. There is God in each and every single one of us. That's why I refer to myself as King Aldron, not to flex, not to make it look like I'm better than anybody, right? I call myself King because that's the standard I want to hold myself to. That's the standard that I want others to view me as, because we are all kings and queens. We are all gods and goddesses, right? But if we don't hear that enough, if we're not held to that standard, then we allow ourselves to be able to slack off. And that's not what I want for myself. That's not what I want for the people that are in my circle. So it's important that you understand that you accept who you truly are. You have to understand yourself to the ins and outs. But a lot of people are willing to take that time to do so, and they don't realize that they're inhibiting themselves from being the best that they can be. Understand, guys, too, that your mistakes and failures are a part of you. A lot of people want to hide our shame, hide who we are, hide, our flaws, right? But understand that those are a part of you. People want to reject the failure aspect of themselves, right? But realizing that you're rejecting a part of you. When you do that, you're cutting a part of yourself out. We are wholesome beings, right? When you cut a portion of yourself out, you're taking away some of your power, right? We learn from our failures. Accept it. You made a mistake. Oh well, it's done. Let it go. It's okay. Guys, I make constant mistakes, right? I disappoint people. I let people down, right? I used to really care a lot about people, how people viewed me. But at the end of the day, I understand that I'm human and I make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. That's just a part of who Algernon is. But I'm not going to let that define me. I'm not going to let that be who I am, right? I am who I say I am. And every time I open my mouth up, I'm prepared to letting the world know who I am, because that's the only way you really develop a strong self-image. You have to be willing to let people know and take a stand and say, you know what? Yeah, I screwed up. Yeah, I messed up. But guess what? I'm still me. Those mistakes I made, those horrible decisions I made, guess what? It was all meant to happen to make me who I was meant to be, right? So going back over, guys, the 7 keys, the 7 ingredients to success is having a sense of direction, having understanding, having the courage to take action, charity, giving, being able to value other people, esteem, that driving forces that are going to drive you to that goal, having that strong why, self-confidence, right? Knowing that you can do it, and self-acceptance, accepting all aspects, good, bad, and the ugly, guys. So that is the end of the call, guys. If you guys got some value, this is such an exciting experience. You know, we got on live streaming on 3 different platforms, and there's going to be way more to come, family. But if you got some value off of this, guys, again, the recordings will be available on Breakfast with Algernon on the YouTube channel, as well as my IG. But thank you guys so much for hopping onto this call. Hope you guys got some value off of it. It's 11 o'clock at the, on the dot. And I want to close off with a prayer, guys, and then give you guys, set you guys off for an amazing day. So if we can, guys, just bow your heads. You're not religious, just take the God aspect down. Just understand that we're just speaking to the universe, guys. So let's get it. Let's get into it, family. Father, thank you so much for letting me be your vessel towards sharing your word. Thank you so much for the individuals that got onto this call, was able to receive value in one way or another. Today, we talked about the ingredients of success, Lord. And I understand that, in order to really be the best that we can be, we must follow these ingredients to the T, because missing out on one ingredient will give us a completely different end result, God. And I understand that, you really want to give us all the tools that we need to really succeed, but it's not necessarily about what we have. It's having the courage to really carry them out. And I thank you so much, Father, for sharing your wisdom. Father, I ask that you bless anybody that was not on this call, and please eliminate all negativity, illness, and diseases out of their life. Allow them to be able to grow and develop into the best possible person that they can be. I ask that you bless everyone on this call's family, bless their loved ones, bless the children, bless everybody, family. Bless everyone, God, because I understand that, you love us unconditionally, even though, we may only reach out to you conditionally. Father, I ask that you let us lead this call 1% better at the very least, and allow us to have an intentional and impactful day, Father. In your name I pray, amen. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, family. Thank you guys so much for tapping into Breakfast with Algernon. I hope this was an amazing experience for you. Looking forward to next week, guys. Have an amazing day, and I will see you guys all at the top, because the bottom has been getting way too crowded, family. Let's get it. Peace and love. Love you guys.